laundry that you have to do later? Are you focused on what you're eating or drinking? What are you focused on right now? Where is your focus this very second? Number two is, what does that mean to you? Is it good or is it bad? Is it right or is it wrong? Is God punishing me or rewarding me? What does it mean? And then based on what you're focusing on and what it means, what are you going to do about it? And if you look at those three questions that we're all constantly, every second, asking and answering ourselves, you can start to come up with better, more empowering answers that will lead you into the direction you want to go.
That alone is profound all by itself. We haven't even made it to the wise quotes yet, but you had several nuggets of wisdom there. I want to go back a little bit to earlier when you talked about your weight loss journey. Mm-hmm. And as cliche as it is, as common as it is, dealing with weight, dealing with health and fitness, that is the place where people really discover that their mindset is not where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And it's also the place where people feel crippled. They feel like, well, but I got to eat that. Or if I go to the gym, what if I don't lose weight? It's like excuse on top of excuse. And for you, when you really found out, okay, I need to lose this weight, how did you stay the course in spite of whatever that initial internal dialogue was that was going to possibly hold you back from accomplishing that goal for yourself?
I was very focused, only because I knew what I wanted. I had a clear and compelling future that I built in my head and an outcome that I wanted to achieve. I knew how crappy I felt at the time, and I knew that not doing anything was going to make it worse. It was either going to get better or it was going to get worse. I wasn't going to stay where I was. So I knew that taking some form of action towards making that better, and I did it in baby steps. I didn't go right to the gym and go all in right away. The very first thing I did was focus on my nutrition. And I started to build in, how can I replace some of the bad things I'm eating with good things? I started to use intermittent fasting. I learned how to do that, which made a huge impact and a huge difference and made things so much more simplistic and healthy for me in the long run. And so I just found those little things that I could tweak. Then after a couple weeks, my energy started to go up and I started to lose some weight. So I noticed results, and results are a great motivator. When you start to see results, you want more. You start to get hungry for results. So at that point, when I started to see those results, is really when I started to go to the gym, because not only did my energy go up, but I thought, I wonder if I add some exercise in, what would happen? And so then I started going to the gym, and I just took it baby step by baby step and celebrated each win along the way, because that's the thing. It's about progress. Progress is the real key. If you're making consistent progress, you will build momentum, and you need to celebrate. What a lot of people do too is when they set these intentions or they set these outcomes that they want to achieve, they're so focused on the end goal that they don't celebrate along the way. And when you don't, the more you do anything, the more you'll attract to you. So the more you give yourself reason to celebrate, and the more you actively celebrate, the more celebrations will find you. So when you have that progress, maybe you want to lose 25 pounds as your end goal, but if you wake up in 2 days and you lost 3, celebrate those 3 pounds. Don't celebrate by going in and getting a piece of cake, but celebrate, pat yourself on the back, jump up and down a little bit, get your energy up, because energy is everything. Share it with someone so they can congratulate you. Find a support system, because one thing that I learned is environment is always stronger than willpower. So you can will yourself to do something as much as you want, but willpower is just like a muscle. You can go to the gym and grab the lightest dumbbell you can find and start doing curls, but eventually that muscle is going to get tired. You're going to have to put that weight down. And willpower is the same way. You can exercise it, but at the end of the day, you're going to eventually get tired. So you need to start to, make small progress, make small incremental progress, and celebrate that along the way so that you create habits and rituals around those things. And that's what really helped me when I was doing that. And you're right. Physical fitness in your physical body is the first step, because most people think when they want to attack mindset, they just go to the mindset. They go to the happy quotes and the books. And while that stuff is all good and valuable, if you have a bunch of weight that's holding you back, or you don't have the energy and the vitality to get up every morning excited and go attack the world and take your unique gifts to the world, you're never going to get as far. Period. And the mind and body are super connected. So, our physical body, what I like to say, is the vehicle in which we experience the world. So you need to take care of that vehicle. If you get in an old, here's a good way of explaining it. If you get on a bicycle and you pedal up you have this huge hill in this real scenic part of town, and you get on this bicycle and you're pedaling uphill, you're going to have a vastly different experience than if if you're sitting in a Rolls Royce and being carted around, because the vehicle matters. Now, you may, have a different opinion of bicycles or cars or whatever, but the point is the vehicle matters. You're going to have a different experience in a different vehicle, no matter whether it's good, bad, right, or wrong. So if you're heavy and overweight and tired and lethargic and you just don't feel good, you're going to have a vastly different experience of the world than if you're fit and energized and healthy and vitality. And that's going to affect your mindset in every which way.
And I really love what you were saying about environment as well as willpower. It kind of leads into a discussion I would love to have a little bit on mental health as it relates to mindset, because there are a lot of people, they are very in tune with their mindset. They also are fully aware that they may struggle with some mental health issues, but that's also the thing that keeps people a little quiet and isolated, and they don't even want to speak to even a professional about it. But in order to really have a healthy mindset, it begins with a healthy mind. So what are some tips and advice for those people who suffer in silence as it relates to dealing with their mindset?
I think the first thing is, everyone's different. So everyone has different views and different things that they deal with on a daily basis. I think that if you're suffering in silence, I think the first thing you need to do is realize that it's fear that's holding you back. And fear is anything that we fear. Anytime we feel fear, it's projected fear. And what I mean by that is, right now in this current moment, no matter who you are or where you are, wherever you sit, wherever you're listening to this, whatever you're doing, you have everything you absolutely need for this second right now. And this second is the only thing that's real right now. So anything you're afraid of is something that you're projecting into the future, and it may or may not even happen. So living in fear is living in a time and a place that doesn't even exist. So, getting rid of that fear is the first step. And aside from that, if you can shed that fear and you can live in the current moment and look at where you are right now and what you're experiencing right now, then you can make a decision. Again, there's three things. What are you focused on? What does it mean? And what do you do about it? If you're focused on, how depressed you are, how sick you feel or whatever, what does that mean to you? It either means you need to go talk to someone, or you need to do some more research so that you're ready to talk to someone at some point, or you need to, do something, even do some research, make a step in the right direction, that you feel is the right direction for you, whether it is looking up different things online and making a list so that you have a resource to go back to. That's taking a step, but build momentum somewhere. And then that's the action step. What do you do about it? You do something, and everyone's in a different place. So maybe making a list is the first step for you. And maybe just taking that is what opens the floodgates to moving on to the next step and the next step. Maybe, reaching out to someone you're very close to. Maybe reaching out to someone you're not close to is a better idea for some people. So it just depends on your situation, who you are, and what you're really trying to achieve. That's the other thing. If you can define where you want to be, then you can put it into context of where you are right now. Because some people, if you're happy, if you're really where you want to be right now, then keep doing what you're doing. But if there's somewhere else you want to be, if it's regardless of whether it's in terms of happiness, in terms of emotion, in terms of financial stability, in terms of weight, if there's somewhere else you want to be, then you're going to have to do some different things. Because if you were doing what you needed to do to get there, you'd already be there. So the first thing that I like to do a lot of times after I define my outcome and create that compelling future and then put some emotion behind it is I like to look at, before I start to think about how I'm going to do this, I like to look at other people who've already done it. Other people who are where I want to be or are very or have helped other people to get to where I want to be. And then I like to look at exactly the steps that they took and model some of those steps, because if you do what they did, you should get what they got. It's not always that cut and dry because times change. Like obviously, if I do exactly what Rockefeller did back in the day, I'm probably not going to get the exact same results he did and be a quadrillionaire or whatever the heck he was back then. But, you can look at some of those steps and a lot of them are still applicable. as far as his daily routines, mindsets, things of that nature. So I like to say success leaves clues. So I like to go back and look for those clues and see where I can plug them into my own life. But it's all about action. It's all about shedding fear and taking action. And that's what it comes down to. So if you can realize that your fear is projected into the future, it's not real. Most people, when they go skydiving, they are cool. Like, I've never been skydiving, but I've talked to a lot of people who have. And from what I've heard is they're all cool about it. They all act tough when they first just commit to doing it. Then the night before, they lay in bed at night and they can't sleep. They're just scared beyond belief. Then they're scared as they need someone almost to drag them onto the plane. And then, these are newbies, by the way, people who've never gone skydiving before. And then in the plane, they're terrified. They just can't take it. It's really, really a drastic thing. And then the minute when they jump out and they're in the air, they become euphoric. And here's the funny thing. The only minute that they're actually in danger is the time they become euphoric and enjoy the experience. So what does that tell you? All that fear that led up to that euphoric point was for what? It was for something that they constructed in their mind that never even came to fruition, but all it did was hold them back in the present moment. When they were actually in the air and in danger and hurtling towards the ground, they were euphoric because they were enjoying the experience. So that's what fear can do. It'll cripple you in the moment, but then when it comes time to actually be afraid, we're typically not afraid, because every moment you have what it is that you need right now. So if you can shed that fear and realize that fear is constructed in our minds, that's projecting a future that may or may not happen because the present is all we have, then you can take a better action because you don't have to do it out of fear. You can get in a more powerful state and do it from a place of power with that future in mind. And that's where real lasting change can occur. And that's where you can really make decisions. And decision is the most important thing. The most powerful tool we have as human beings is the ability to decide again. And when I say again, I mean because most of us are afraid. Most of us are so afraid we're going to make the wrong decision that we end up not making any decision. And that in and of itself is a decision. So if we can make that, if we realize that our power is making a decision again, meaning you can make a decision. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, really. What matters is you make that decision. You get over that fear. You don't stay paralyzed. You make that decision, and then you have the power to decide again based on what happened. So if you make that decision and you don't like the outcome, guess what? You have the power to choose again. So knowing that I'm going to make a decision right now, that I'm going to take action, I'm going to make a move. And if it works, great, then I can move from that point. If it doesn't, I can still decide again and choose something else. So that's something really important to understand, is to push fear aside, to take action, and realize that you'll have the opportunity to decide again. Opportunity, as long as you're alive, which is something to be grateful for in and of itself, you have an opportunity. So don't live in fear and let it paralyze you and not make a decision and just flounder it.
You're like a natural motivator, Mario. I have thoroughly enjoyed talking with you, and I really believe that whoever is listening would love to learn even more about how they can connect with all the awesomeness that you have going on. So
yes.
Tell us about you, your business on this end, and some of the services that people can take advantage of.
Yes. Well, so the thing that I do, you can go, my website is marioporreca.com. It's PORRECA.com. And the podcast is 10-Minute Mindset. So that's available pretty much everywhere. It's on Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, iTunes. So pretty much everywhere that you can get podcasts, you can search for 10-Minute Mindset and find that. And the other thing that I do is I coach people. I do coaching, and typically my clients are either coaches themselves, consultants, or busy achievers. So if you find yourself in any of those categories, and what we do is I help them find the energy, the mindset, and the strategy to attract more clients and serve them at a more profound level. So it's all about alignment and allowance is what I like to teach and what I work with people to figure out. And it's aligning yourself to be the person that you were born to be, and to be able to tap into your own power. Because if you become the person that you were born to be and you're completely aligned yourself, that's when you're at your greatest power to serve other people. And when you serve them from that place, you make a much bigger impact. So aligning yourself with that, and then allowing the different things to come into play, and then from that place creating the strategy, because now you're in a much more powerful creative place to create a much more effective strategy that then we can then measure and adjust along the way, the whole way. So that's how I like to work it. What I typically